brave new world. Brought to you by ANZ. We live in your world.
Science is about to change your life. I am Stephen Hawking, and I'd like to give you a glimpse of your future.
Wow!
In this series, 5 top scientists will investigate game-changing innovations.
This is pretty mind-blowing.
The shockwaves of progress are heading your way. We'll show you how you'll be safer, play harder, connect faster, live longer, see further, and get smarter. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unlimited. So welcome to the science of the future. "70 years ago, the first electric computers were switched on. Now, microprocessors are so ubiquitous, the boundaries between the physical and the virtual are starting to blur. Our 5 scientists examine how this is opening up a whole new dimension. "90% of all the data in existence has been generated over just the last 2 years. A large proportion of it is video data. Computer-generated environments already have many applications, but can we put this technology to better use? Military and law enforcement officers often face dangerous situations. Their training can make the difference between life and death. Is it possible to create a virtual world where they can experience extreme danger without the threat of actually being harmed?" Karen Bondar is going to Georgia to investigate a cutting-edge system that's being tested on recruits.
Firearms training is mandatory for any officer on the front line. But on its own, it's not enough. You need teamwork and tactical exercises too. But even after many hours of training, the only way you can really know you're ready is when you come face to face with someone who's trying to kill you. How can any tactical exercise prepare you for that?
Karen is about to find out by going face to face with armed killers.
This isn't a video game. It's an advanced military exercise. These guys are undergoing a new form of totally immersive combat training.
When you see them out here, they're just running around an empty room. It looks very...
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. Explain to me what's going on here.
This is Vietsub. This is the world's most powerful, immersive simulator, where you can put up to 13 soldiers or police inside any virtual world and recreate their battlefield experience.
Okay, so set the scene for me here. What are we looking at in our virtual world?
We have a warehouse where a group of adversaries are basically up to no good, and our guys have to go in, clear the facility of all the bad guys.
The idea is to create a virtual but lifelike environment to train our soldiers and law enforcement officers in dangerous, high-pressure situations.
They are seeing the screen in front of their own eyes.
Somebody's been hit. Can he tell that he's been shot?
Yes, when you get shot, you get feedback. In a sense, you get a sensory muscle stimulation.
This is basically allowing you to say, how are you going to react when somebody is pointing a gun at your face?
Yes, and that's really a key point, is that you don't know how people react until somebody points a gun at them. And on a range, you're just shooting at targets you're not being shot back at. And you really see how people perform in a stress environment with Vietsub that you would never see normally.
That's what it is. It's the stress. It's giving you that stress. It's putting you somewhere that you don't want to be. One
of the reasons we started Vietsub is that almost all of the simulators in the world have always been bought and paid for pilot training. We've done a great job with planes, but yet almost all of the deaths and injuries in all of our wars have been the soldiers and people on the ground. So this is the simulator for everybody else.
Now I'm going to put myself in the firing line to see how well it works. Instead of the usual battle armor, I'm being fitted with a full-body motion tracking kit.
So there's these little markers all over the knee pads, all over the feet. Tell me about what the significance of these are.
The markers are placed in certain parts of your body so that the cameras will always be looking for those. During your live capture, there will be an avatar that's created based upon the placement of these markers.
So it's going to look like me.
It's going to look like you in size and dimensions.
The markers reflect infrared light to 84 cameras mounted around the ceiling. They determine the position of my body and track the precise movements of my limbs, then send the info to a computer in my backpack. This visor is stereoscopic and will allow me to experience a totally 3D immersive world.
The camera's capturing me, sending it to some big server system, transmitting it wirelessly back to my backpack, and that's how the virtual world will see me.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Today, there are no M16s. We'll be firing electronic weapons. They are weighted like the real thing. You aim them the same way, and they recoil too.
Through this door, I see.
Time for some target practice before the exercise.
Did I get him?
Nope.
Oh, shoot.
Hide left.
Okay, thank you. Did I get him?
No.
Not that I want to kill people, but...
Good shot.
This whole experience is completely playing with my senses, and I'm feeling like I'm there. The fact that the pistol feels so real when you're shooting it, and that everything moves where you move, it's completely real. It's messing with my mind utterly.
Vietsub is about as close as it gets to experiencing the front line without actually being there. Now Karen is about to feel how extreme virtual danger can be.
My scenario. Armed individuals have been spotted in an apartment complex.
So it's going to be a matter of you going through, clearing the building, room by room.
Shots have been fired and a hostage taken. A SWAT team is sent in to assist me. Each of us has an avatar that mirrors what we do, and they can all interact with each other.
Okay, Karen, follow me.
Okay.
Stay really close. Okay, Karen?
Yes.
We're gonna go left and clear that side, and then we'll go right.
Okay, bathroom, clear.
All right, you clear that first one. All right, we'll move up to the next bedroom on the left, right behind you. Clear?
Yeah,
All right,
clear.
we'll move out to the stairwell.
Okay. It's crazy how scared I am right now.
All right, you watch behind us, and I'll watch behind us.
Oh.
What do you got, Ken?
Man down.
Got one guy down. Right? This hallway.
Okay.
Clear it. We're gonna move up into the hallway. Into this room.
I've been shot.
Stay right here.
2 muscle stimulators attached to my triceps deliver a stinging electric shock to tell me I've been shot. Computer game graphics might be more advanced, but this is not a game. There are consequences. I've been shot. Dead.
Oh, no, I've been hit.
I walk forward.
Oh, that was intense. Oh, I am sweating. My heart is racing. That was literally terrifying. It was scary to go into each room one after the next. And then right at the end, I get shot. I just get blown down. It hurts, and my game is over.
Time for the debrief. Joe Harmon is going to break down the hostage scenario.
As we see you clearing this room And you're keeping the weapon up, you're doing a good job of keeping your eyes on the danger areas, you're moving through in a nice methodical fashion. You're making a room entry very decisive, you're hitting those corners, and by hitting the corners I mean you are pointing your weapon and having your eyes on that next deadly threat. And right now you have your weapon pointed at your partner's head, which may not be always a good thing, but you've got the Charlie's Angel pose down perfect. So that's awesome.
Oh.
Now you're doing a good job here. You're covering the six, we call it. And look at this. Now this, I was actually amazed, as others were, that you engaged him so quick. Look at your stance. You actually got into an aggressive stance as you would in a natural fight or flight situation. And you did an awesome job, Karen.
Playing back the scene like this is a primary instruction tool for combatants. And this kind of feedback and simulated training could be used in all kinds of other applications, from sports coaching to practicing complex surgical procedures.
Now here's where you were shot. Do you have any inclination as to why you may have been shot first?
I guess I just wasn't being careful enough.
No, I think your mindset, you intended to be careful, but you notice where you're at in that room.
Yeah.
That's a very large room.
Yeah.
And you went deep into the center of that room a little too quick.
Okay.
And that opened you up to angles that you weren't prepared to cover.
Virtual SWAT is an amazing tool that puts soldiers on the front lines without ever actually putting them in harm's way. Now, I'd like to see this taken even a step further with the addition of the tactile sense. Now, imagine being able to feel those walls, to actually feel rocks crunching under your boots. They're actually working on this technology, and it could be ready as early as 2015. Now, that's a digital world I would love to see.
The virtual world offers any one of us the chance to escape to far-flung places we might otherwise never visit. For me, that might be to investigate a model of another galaxy on Earth with satellite navigation. We have mapped the outside world in incredible detail, but there are still huge spaces even GPS can't access until now. Let's face it, it's pretty hard to get lost these days. Satellite and ground-based technologies have created a vast database of constantly updating digital maps. They allow us to see exactly where we are going, using 360-degree views. But our virtual plan of the world is far from complete, because GPS and Street View cannot penetrate buildings or underground. So we still rely heavily on blueprints and architectural drawings, many of which are years out of date. Now, scientists in Baltimore are looking into how to change that. R.T. Brassard is about to orientate herself with an intriguing new invention.
Like any city, the center of Baltimore is densely covered in buildings. I can use satellite navigation to find my way to any one of them, but as soon as I step inside, my digital maps become useless.
But this could be about to change. At the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, where the idea of GPS was born over 50 years ago, another team of engineers has come up with a device that could map these hidden worlds in 3D.
And I'm about to put their invention to the test. This cutting-edge mapping technology came about whilst these guys were trying to find a way of stopping their robots from getting lost.
Hi.
Hello.
So, this is where it all started?
Yeah, this is our research robot. Back in 2005, we were working with autonomous vehicles and wanted to be able to enable these vehicles to do things by themselves. And in indoor environments, you can't receive a GPS signal because the building blocks the GPS. So we needed to use a technique called SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping. And what that does is it builds a map of the environment using the laser scanner, and then the robot can use that map to essentially wander around and navigate in the environment.
The laser spins round, shooting out infrared scans, and the computer measures the time it takes for the beam to go out and come back. The little white dots on the screen show where the laser is hitting objects in the environment, Each wall, each chair, even the two of us walking behind it, creating a real-time map around the robot, so it'll never bump into anything.
How did you take this technology and develop it into something that's useful for humans?
I can show you over here, we have a backpack where we took the basic premise of what we did on a robot and translated it to something that a human can carry around. The little lasers up top here, it's much smaller than the one that's on the robotic vehicle, but does the same basic functionality where it can measure the distance to walls around you, and you'll be able to see those maps form as you're walking through the area.
Great. So it just goes on like a regular backpack?
Right.
Cool. No, it's not heavy at all. And there I am. So I'm the red dot in the middle. If I just zoom in. So it's looking similar to the robot, but it's not just the white lines with dots we were seeing before.
Yeah, so this is going to pick up a lot more detail than the robot had.
Unlike a robot, I can't keep the laser steady, so the guys have added motion sensors that measure the movement of the backpack to compensate for my steps.
So something special we've added to the backpack now, you can push the camera button on this software and it'll bring up a picture at every position you've been at.
Right. Wow, okay.
And you can actually drag your finger across the screen and it'll pan around in full 360 degrees.
Oh, wow.
See what's in every direction.
So I could do my own street maps.
Yes, you could.
eMaps works well in the lab, but to be a truly versatile tool, it has to function inside all manner of structures in our man-made world. So, how will this impressive portable prototype perform in the most difficult place they can find?
This is the US Coast Guard ship 10A. It's a labyrinth of narrow, winding corridors and more than 140 rooms spread over 8 decks. Encased in over 2,500 tons of steel. It's completely impenetrable to GPS signals.
Right, so I'm going to put that on and try and negotiate the ship, because here it's uneven. I'll be going up steps, down steps, through doorways, so...
We've got pipes and ducts and curved walls and everything, so...
Which is much more of a challenge than what the robot was doing, right? Okay. Right.
What's most extraordinary about this little backpack is the accuracy. Every intricate detail of the cabins and corridors is recorded and measured. The precision is incredible, and all done in the time it takes to walk around the ship.
The map looks great, actually. I've been going through, you can see this is really restricted passage. It's like a maze, this ship, and I've been going up and down. The ship itself is slanted, going over steps and ducking because the doors are really low, but I'm quite impressed, actually, with what this technology's managed to produce. I've got a really nice map here. And what's really astonishing is all the detail it got. You can see all the walls in the room.
Yeah, each little square on the map is about 2 inches. There's camera images captured at every step, so we can click the camera icon and then click in this room here, and then you can...
This is where we are now.
Yeah, look around inside this room and see everything that was there when you walked through that environment.
If you've got the camera on here, what else might you be able to do to detect in the environment?
Right, one of the things we wanted to do with this system is have the ability to integrate a lot of other different types of sensors. For example, this one in the front is another laser scanner pointing up. So it's scanning out in this environment, so as you walk through an area, you're getting a full 3D point set, so you can create a full 3D model of the area that you walk through. And then we also want to incorporate a bunch of other types of sensors. For example, we say you wanted to map a mall and see what your Wi-Fi coverage looked like throughout the mall. You could incorporate that sensor with the system and generate a map that shows you both the map of the location and then those sensor data on top of that.
And it's interactive.
Yeah, it's interactive because you have imagery. So if this is the type of technology that enables them to see that location virtually without having to be there.
And it's amazing. It really is astonishing how accurate it is.
eMaps has already proved it's capable of mapping ships. Over the coming years, more and more buildings will be added to our 3D virtual map of the world.
Even in a huge shopping mall like this, we'd never get lost again.
It also has potentially serious applications in the more immediate future.
It could help our rescue services map a collapsed building in minutes, or the police map a crime scene in seconds.
There is more data being shared across the world every second today than was stored throughout the internet 20 years ago. With this colossal digital capability, one idea is to create things in the virtual world, and then bring them to life in the real world. And I mean actually bring them to life. It's a field that could deliver incredible benefits. When I was diagnosed with a degenerative disease, I was 21. Doctors thought I might not survive more than 2 years. Thankfully, I'm still here. A similar prognosis is often faced by people with organ failure. But now, radical forward thinking is offering hope for the future. Replacement body parts to order. A team of scientists in California believe that if you can design them on a computer, you should be able to print them out. Daniel Kraft investigates if there's life in this idea.
One of the most exciting technologies to explode into our everyday world is that of 3D printing.
It works on the same principle as your 2D printer at home. But instead of words, the machine can read a three-dimensional design and lay down successive layers of liquid, powder, or sheet material to create almost any shape that can be designed on a computer.
In fact, I'm even wearing a 3D printed belt, a single print, and I was scanned by a Kinect and have a version of me, Mini-Me.
Now developers are trying to apply extreme 3D printing to a big problem. In the United States, an average of 18 people die each day.
Waiting for organ transplants that don't arrive, there's an organ shortage. I know as a physician that even when organs become available, we need to rush to go and harvest those organs and bring them back for transplantation. What if there was another way to merge science and tissue engineering to make personalized organs available for a patient anytime they needed them and based on their own body?
Sounds like science fiction, but here at Organovo, they're pioneering a way to build human tissue by printing it, cell by cell. Keith Murphy is the co-founder.
So Keith, do you envision an era where we're printing our own personalized organs?
Now, we're not quite at the point where we can make full organs, but we can make smaller tissues. We already make blood vessels, for example, and we've already taken stem cells from an individual patient from their fat tissue and built a full blood vessel from that one source of cells.
So how do you build a living blood vessel? The process is remarkably similar to printing my snazzy belt. First, scientists like Vivian design a virtual shape of the tissue they want to print.
I just finished building an example of a tubular structure or a blood vessel. This is a nice interface because it's very easy for the user, for example, as you can see me here, clicking through these building blocks that defines whether or not the material is a gel or it's a type of cell, which the printer knows which one to print.
So here it's cell A, B, or C, for example, and those would be different cell types, different sorts of inks,
yes.
Right? Can I build, for example, a different shaped blood vessel, not just a round one?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try it?
Yeah, go try it.
See, even a doctor can design a blood vessel. How many cells would be in each of these circles here?
We're talking in orders of millions of cells for each blood vessel, though.
So this is pretty incredible. This is like a computer-aided design. You might be normally building a square or a picture on a screen, but in this case, we're using the design software to build not just an object, but actually a cellular material, a blood vessel in this case.
Turning virtual cell structure designs into reality is the challenge. First, you need the raw materials, the bio-ink for the printer. In this case, human liver cells, which remarkably are similar in size to the droplets of ink in an inkjet printer. For this test, we're going to print a mini liver. It will be just 0.5 millimeter deep and 4 millimeters across, but can perform most functions of the real thing.
Hi, Vivian. So we've got the printer here. I see 2 different cartridges. What's in the cartridges?
So if you look at this cartridge here, we actually have liver source cells, and in this one here, we have cells that make up a lot of supporting material.
The principle of the bioprinter is similar to how an inkjet printer produces words. Following the computer design, the 3D printer creates sheets of cell-friendly biopaper made from collagen or gelatin to temporarily hold the cells in place. Then, it prints the living cell clusters onto the biopaper, drop by drop. Each drop of this bioink is approximately 250 micrometers wide, fractionally bigger than a strand of human hair. Pinpoint accuracy is essential.
That's one of the great powerful things about 3D printing is that we have the ability to control exactly where the cells go. So just like we said, we can put them exactly where we want to go, and then we're relying on them to do what they know how to do and form tissues.
That's one of the amazing things about this process. Once the cells are in place, nature takes over. Kept alive in incubators, the cell clusters begin to fuse to each other, creating more complex tissue structures.
We can see tissues that we actually printed yesterday that have been incubating overnight.
So from print to incubation to culture in 24 hours. So this is now ready to go for toxicology studies or beyond.
The question is, how close a match is the printed tissue? I'm taking a cross-section of human liver to make a comparison.
It's very delicate, thin material. And I'm making 5 microns thick. That's about 1 cell layer. And once it's layered on the slide, I can stain that, put that under the microscope, and see what we've got. So I'm holding a slide of human liver, a thin section that's stained, and you can appreciate the complexity of the liver, which is the major organ in our body which detoxifies our blood. Organovo has printed out human liver cells as well. Human liver, 3-dimensionally printed from stem cells.
We'll need a microscope to check the results.
How does this compare to a normal human liver? It would look about the same?
Yeah, that's right. So the tissue is highly viable. The cells are happy, they're healthy, they're well organized, and we can do that all exactly in an automated computer-generated process.
The success of 3D bioprinting means that these liver cells can already be used in scientific research to test drugs and study diseases. And because the tissue will have the same DNA as the donor, these tests can be tailored for individual patients. A major breakthrough in medicine.
So Keith, where do you see this coming together in the future?
Well, in the far future, the hope for this technology is that we can take a patient's own cells, take them to a central location where we can build them an organ for eventual transplant.
So it's an exciting age for the future of medicine. It's this convergence of 3D printing, tissue engineering, computer-aided design, genomics, all integrating and coming together to enable us to build new organs, new tissues in new, powerful, impactful ways.
That's right.
They've set 2015 as a date to begin tissue graft trials in humans. With bioprinted liver tissue a reality, this thought-provoking field is advancing rapidly. Clearly there is a long way to go before whole organs like the kidney could be printed. I hope that doesn't remain a fantasy. But of course the world of fantasy is evolving just as fast as any other, and I've heard whispers of a virtual reality entertainment system so immersive, it makes you react like you're really there. In the lucrative world of entertainment, virtual reality has been an elusive dream for decades. Frankly, it's been disappointing. Will we ever be able to engage so completely that what is real and what is imaginary becomes a distinction just in our minds? A team in California claims they've made a breakthrough. Chris Elias-Smith is on his way to field test a futuristic headset they have developed, and to find out if it warrants all the interest it's generating.
When I was a kid, virtual reality was going to open the door to any universe I could imagine. I could be a warrior, a starship captain, a snowmobile rider, anything, anywhere, anytime. And the technology of VR was just around the corner. Out of the way, out of the way. Uh-oh. Snowmobiles and trees do not mix. This is big, it's loud, pretty fast. It isn't VR.
You just won the gold medal.
First, you can dance, you can dance. That's right. Governments and corporations are piling millions of dollars into virtual reality research. This is a dream from science fiction, but it never really found it into the everyday world. Is that about to change? I'm here in Southern California, to meet Palmer Luckey. Has he made VR work? I'm going in. If there's a secret inside, I'm gonna find out what it is. Chris Smith.
Palmer Luckey.
How you doing?
Really good.
Great. So Palmer, you probably know better than anyone else that people have been trying to do VR for the last 20 years or so. What in particular did you bring together in order to succeed where others have failed?
If you've seen The Matrix and you're a gamer, you want the Matrix technology for all your games. And what I found out as I researched is that virtual reality actually isn't as advanced as a lot of people think.
Did you look at what was out there?
I bought an enormous number of head-mounted displays, and I started to take them apart, see how they worked, and then try to make improvements and modifications to them.
So you've got all kinds of stuff sitting on your desk here, and one of the things that pops out is this guy.
So this is an old IO Glasses PC. You want to try it out?
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. You can see this grid. You're in a cutting-edge virtual reality environment right now.
That's right. Oh, that's crazy. So you can see, so I'm looking there, and I go back. I can see the problem here. This old technology can't accurately track my head movement. The walls are moving in a strange way, and it's making my head spin. Developers call it drift. So can you explain what I'm seeing and why it's so disorienting?
So what you're seeing is tracking that's being performed primarily by an accelerometer. And the problem with an accelerometer is that it can really only measure acceleration and the direction of gravity. So you can see the entire room is, shifting around you as you look around.
Yeah. This poor tracking causes another problem, latency. You move, and there's a lag in response time. It doesn't make for a comfortable or useful experience. But apparently, Palmer Luckey and his team have cracked the problem of both drift and latency by building the Oculus Rift. It's time to see how it works.
So we've got the Oculus Rift development kit.
Cool, so can I actually take this puppy apart?
You can, yeah.
So this is basically like part of ski goggles.
Exactly.
What's this guy do?
So that's our custom tracker that we designed specifically with VR in mind.
Nate tells me this chip contains a digital gyroscope that senses changes in head orientation 1,000 times a second, and, like the inner ear, sends signals to a sophisticated processor.
And that sits right in that front faceplate, tracking the user's movements.
This actually reminds me of how the brain works. And essentially, you're taking the same measurements that the brain does and using those to update the screen just the way the real world would be updated.
Yeah.
So the Oculus Rift has some parts of a brain on a chip.
Oculus Rift has reduced the problems of drift and latency. But for virtual reality to really work from the moment you plug in, you have to be unaware of your real surroundings and immersed inside the virtual environment. The technology needs to make you believe in what you're seeing.
Now these do not look normal. What is this? This is not usually in a ski mask.
Sure, so this is the whole lens assembly. All the secret magic of the Rift is really, a lot of it's here. They are basically strong magnification lenses and gives it a distortion that actually wraps it around you when you're looking through it.
So this is allowing it to go all the way across my field of vision, making it more immersive.
Exactly.
Unlike those little screens before.
Exactly.
All right, so those are pointed at this screen. And I
They
take
are.
it that's what this is. To see how it works, I need to fire it up and take a look.
Just take that with 2 hands, bring it up to your eyes, and actually just pull the strap over your head just like you would ski goggles.
All right, oh, it's pretty blurry.
What you want to do is find the sweet spot right in the center of the optic. So if you just move it up and down a
Oh,
little
there we
bit.
go. Yeah.
Better?
Yep.
Great.
Just dropped right in. I'm hooked up to a popular video game, except I'll be playing it in a virtual 3D world.
So what I'm seeing on the monitor is actually the same thing that's being rendered inside the headset. We have 2 images of the game world split for each eye. And inside the Rift, what you're seeing, Chris...
There's only one.
There's only one, right. Your brain is fusing these together. It's designed to behave exactly like your eyes do in real life. And that's a big part of what makes the Rift so immersive, is that stereo depth, that when you look off in the distance, you actually get that sense of distance and scale. All right, so do this for me. Look left, look right, up, down, and then actually look over your shoulder 180
legs.
180 degrees behind you. So turn your body and actually look behind you. So you do have full 360-degree low latency head tracking, a big part of what makes the Rift an immersive experience. So I'm gonna hand you a controller.
Okay.
Just hands out, there you go. So you're set. You can take off through the city of Hawking.
Cool. As soon as you turn your head, You can see the entire thing. It's like you're in the city. So I'm fighting this evil mech warrior guy here, and I don't have any problem tracking him at all. I can run around, I can stare at him. Why can I do this so easily?
One of the key parts of the Rift is really that low latency head tracking. It's really crucial to having an immersive experience, right? We need the player to feel as though they're there in the world.
There's no way to show the experience the way I see it, but I can't sense any latency problems. The sensor data is being processed so fast that the lag is roughly 30 milliseconds. That's getting close to how we see the real world. Below 20 milliseconds, any delay is no longer perceptible.
If we want to get to the holodeck, we need to minimize latency as much as possible, driving down towards 0 milliseconds. So, give me your initial impressions.
This is like I'm there. You know what's, as soon as you start to fall, it goes right to your vestibular system. There's the neuroscientist in me. I really feel like I'm falling. That's wicked.
That's what the Rift's all about, letting players step inside the game and experience it. Welcome back.
Wow. Sorry I made it all sweaty.
No, that's fine. Your body in VR really reacts the way it would to real life. So that sense of falling gives you a little bit of fear, a little panic-inducing. Your heartbeat starts to go up, and you sweat.
You're right. It's hard to describe. Words escape me.
That's the reaction we like.
Very impressive. So I play games, I don't make them. When am I going to get an Oculus Rift?
We don't want to release something before it's ready. We have to make sure it's right. At the same time, we want this to come out just as much as anyone else does.
So are we talking weeks, months, years?
We're talking months, not years.
A full production launch is expected in 2014. With virtual reality, this version of Fantasy and Escape will be even more mind-blowing. The tech world is betting that Oculus Rift is going to be a game changer.
As processing power increases, VR is bound to improve. But there is still a question about the interface between us and the technology. To become truly seamless, computers need to read our minds. How can science make this possible? Convergence between the real and digital worlds will one day be so profound, it could be a defining force that helps shape our future. Today, interaction is limited by our physical selves and the devices we use. I would like to see a time when it's not. That would be a truly liberating revolution, but could it happen? Jim Al-Khalili is in the Netherlands to find the answer.
Imagine if one day we could interact with our technology and with each other using nothing more than the power of thought. Morning.
Devices like this could become a distant memory.
But is it possible to control machines directly with our minds? Neuroscientists at Maastricht University are going to show Jim how far their experiments in this area have come.
The driving force behind this project is Bettina Sorger. She's developed a system that can translate 3 types of mental activity, reading, arithmetic, and visualizing images, into letters of the alphabet.
There are always several brain regions involved in a particular mental task. For example, when you perform a motor imagery task.
Motor means I'm moving my hand.
Then quite a lot areas are active. But this set of regions involved will be different for another task. For example, mental calculation.
So doing my times table.
Yeah, and for a third task, for example, in a speech, you just recite a poem you know by heart. There will be a third network of brain regions involved.
So different mental tasks activate combinations of different regions in the brain.
So here, Jim, you see a 3D representation of the brain, and the colored areas are regions that are active during the performance of a mental task.
Is it possible to have a look at a single slice?
Yes.
Just to see where the different parts light up?
Okay. So here you see, for example, the 2 areas that within that slice are active when the subject performs motor imagery.
So this is drawing a picture.
Exactly.
They light up.
Yes, so these areas need energy, they need oxygen, and this is what we measure with our MRI system.
Bettina has created software that reads our software. functional MRI is not new. So what is it that you do that's so new and different?
What we tried is to adapt the technology and to use the knowledge we have about the brain to build a so-called brain-computer interface, which will allow you to type letters by the means of your brain.
Wow, so my brain directly hooked to the computer without any typing or using a mouse?
Yes, without any behavior that we can see, just by using your thoughts.
Using an fMRI scanner, her program detects each separate mental task over a set time period and ascribes the brain activity to different letters of the alphabet. I want to check this out, but first I need to learn how to talk machine. Time to go back to school.
So in order to guide you through the letter encoding, we have a visual display. We can differentiate these by the tasks.
7, 14.
Now you stop, you wait until the whole bars are gone.
The theory is, if I want to say the letter A, I have to draw a picture in my mind while the letter A is lit up on the screen. Ingenious. I think I'm ready for the real thing now.
I think so too.
Good, let's go. Can this really work? It seems like an awful lot of trouble just to type a letter of the alphabet.
My whole world is now shrunk down to what I can see in front of me, which is basically a monitor that I'm going to be looking at and reading from.
Okay, Jim, now I would like to ask you the question. And my question is, where did you spend your most recent vacation?
Okay, then.
So, if I draw a shape in my mind, the scanner should pick up the activity of the specific brain regions for that task. It should then hopefully recognize this as the signal for a particular letter, in this case, H.
This looks normal. Okay, yes, okay. At the H, he has quite strong responses. That's good, yeah. And then the last letter is also correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters out of the 7. Okay, Jim, I think you have been to Hawaii.
She's right. Extraordinary. I've just had my thoughts read by a computer. Okay, how did I do then?
You did a great job. Come here, I show you your results. So here you see the first letter option, so this is the first row. Second row shows the second letter option, and so on. So here the first character was a H, first letter option. The second letter here, you see the decoder went for B instead of A, but A is already the second letter choice, so it's also very good. The other 2 letters correct as well. This here is again the second letter choice correct, and the last finally is also correct. So basically 5 out of 7 possibilities were correct at the first letter option.
And then there'll be software that guesses that
exactly.
To make sense,
Yeah.
the word had to be Hawaii.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It really did read my mind.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Now, when do you think this technology might be more readily available?
We will try to transfer this system to a mobile technology, and I think we can expect in the next 5 to 10 years.
And will there come a time where someone can sit in front of a computer, but instead of having a keyboard, they put on a helmet and think directly commands?
This might be an option for someone who has no other possibilities. And
right.
Yeah, but you never know what happens. So this is now the state of the art, and we will improve it. We will see how far we come.
It's still quite literally mind-blowing.
The digital domain is fundamentally changing the way we see our world. There may always be a literal boundary between the virtual and the real, but in the future we may no longer be able to tell which side we are on. The distinction between what is actually there and what is not may eventually become irrelevant. And since we haven't cracked time travel yet, I have run out of time. Thank you for watching.
Brave New World. Brought to you by ANZ. We live in your world.